Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss why do we need full stack development, right? First thing we need to understand there are three different perspectives are there. First thing is industry perspective, why do we need full stack development? Second thing, developer perspective. Third thing, end user perspective. First one is industry perspective. Let's say today the industry is going to hire the person who is good at front end. In future, if there is a requirement in back end, they can't move this candidate to the back end because he is good at only front end. So again they have to hire the person for exclusively for back end. So this is burden to them. They can't move the developers from front end to back end and vice versa, so that they need a person who is excel at both front end as well as back end. That is the reason industry's perspective they need full stack developer. Hope it is clear, right? That is the first point. Second point is developer perspective. Before going to the developer perspective, how we used to develop the traditional web applications, right? Maximum we prefer HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all three for front end, and back end we might have used, let's say, servlet for example. So here HTML to define content of web pages means the designing UI part. CSS to specify the layout of web pages, or else we can say to create responsive web pages, right? The third thing is JavaScript. JavaScript is to perform validation on client side. You please keep it in your mind, whenever you are going to develop the applications, as much as possible you have to perform the client side validation. Means what does it mean? Like, let's say you are going to have the login form with two fields, username and password. If we don't have a JavaScript, what happened here is, right, you, let's say you are not going to pass any credentials, username or password, simply you are going to click submit button. Usually what happened, the null values will be taken, right? It then the null values will be given to the server side. Server side you might have used servlets. Servlet you might have written some business logic. This is going to take these null values and it's going to check with DB, and based on the response it is going to create the response for the end user, and the response will be given to the end user, right? So how the round trip time from client side to server side, because the absence of validation at client side, right, the null values taken and completely the round trip time will be more. That is the reason it's recommended to use client side validation. For that purpose, we are going to use JavaScript. Now the thing is, the developer point of view, backend, let's say we are going to use servlet. Maximum the developers not comfortable with servlet concept, right? It's bit difficult to do. So that is the second reason. And the next thing is, have you ever think about how the HTML is executed in your browser, or CSS is executed in your browser, or JavaScript, right? First thing, HTML is not directly understood by the browser. The code whatever you written, HTML code, this will be converted to DOM structure, document object model. What is document object model? The code whatever you written, it will be converted as a complete tree structure. Let's say this is my HTML code, and right hand side whatever you are seeing here, this is my DOM tree. First line what it is, doc type, it's going to take the document, HTML document, and the next one, the entire HTML page is embedded inside the HTML tag. So the root element is HTML. It's going to have two sections. One is header section, the other one is body of the content. So here the two sections it will be created, header section and body of the content. Header section, you are going to have a title. Just compare with the left hand side code. The title, the text we given here is, this is my title. When it comes to body of the content, there are two more tags are there. One is h1 tag, the other one is anchor tag. The anchor tag going to have the attribute that h reference, right? Then h1 tag the text and anchor tag the text. Hope it is clear, right? So in this way, the HTML is understood by the browser. You may have a question, sir, then how CSS will be? CSS also the similar way, but for that it has, the browser is inbuilt with parser. The parser is going to convert the CSS as a CSS object model and it's going to execute it. When it comes to JavaScript, how the browser will execute JavaScript, right? So the definition point of view, JavaScript is lightweight interpreted object-oriented language. If it is interpreted object-oriented language, minimum we need some sort of interpreter or compiler kind of thing to execute your JavaScript code, yes or no, right? Let's say you are going to write the Java code. What you will do? You are going to use JavaC compiler to compile and Java command to run, right? Yes or no? The same way, how the JavaScript is, if it is interpreted object-oriented language, then how your browser will execute your JavaScript. The thing is very simple. Each and every browser is inbuilt with their own engine, right? The engine is nothing but it is kind of interpreter, right? So let's say Chrome browser. It is inbuilt with V8 engine, Chrome V8 engine. Internet Explorer, that is Chakra, and Firefox, you are going to have Firefox browser. SpiderMonkey is the engine. In such a way, each and every browser is inbuilt with their own engine, right? And next thing is, first point is, I hope it is clear, the industry perspective. Second thing is, that is developer perspective. I told you, servlets, the people, majority of the people may not familiar with servlets concept, so that they prefer JavaScript, right? And the third thing is end user point of view. So what is end user point of view means? Let's say if you are going to use the traditional web application development technologies, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, HTML DOM tree, first it will convert into HTML DOM tree, and if there is any small change in the leaf node, what actually the browser will do is, it's not only going to update the leaf node, instead of that it's going to update the entire DOM tree. I hope it is clear. So my point is, you are going to have 1000 tags. First the browser will construct the DOM tree with 1000 tags, and if there is a small change or updating the tag 1000, it's not only going to update the 1000 tag, it will update all the 1000 tags. That is the issue here, right? So that the developer the end user point of view, they prefer full stack. What is the need for full stack? Because the either React or Angular, when you are going to use, you can use single page applications. I will let you know what is single page applications, but keep it in your mind, that is used to develop single page application. I hope it is clear, right? Next thing is MVC pattern. When you are going to develop industry standard enterprise applications, it is highly recommended to use MVC structure. What is MVC? that is model, view and controller. Let's say as a beginner you are going to develop the application, means you may have you may create a folder, and the folder may have n number of files, the JavaScript file, image files and JSON files. You can place n number of files over there and you can create the applications. But the thing is, if there is any issue in one particular file, that may be escalate to some other files also. And the second thing is, if there is any issues with uh, one particular file, sometimes it is difficult to figure it out where exactly the issue it is, right? So that is the reason industry standard is it's recommended to use MVC pattern: model, view and controller. Simply I am telling you, model means that is DB related kind of thing, right? I told you, right, as a beginner you are going to place everything in a one folder. Now MVC, what it will do, it will segregate into three different parts. First one is model, the DB related kind of thing, you have to place it inside the model part. And the view, the name itself, it contains meaning. The UI pages, whatever you are going to develop with the help of React JS or HTML or whatever it is, so all those user interface UI pages needs to be placed inside the view part. And the third thing is controller. Let's say you are going to write some sort of business logic, right? The backend code, and the business logic needs to be placed inside the controller part. Now what happened here, we have clearly separated the DB part, the UI pages and the business logic. So it is easy to maintain the application. So that is the reason industry standard application, it is highly recommended to use MVC pattern. And you may have a query like, sir, what are all the technologies used in that respective model, view and controller? So this slide clears you. If it is model, MongoDB, Mongoose, Node.js, you are going to use for model. Model means what? That is DB related kind of thing. And controller means the business logic you are going to write it. You can use Express.js. What is Express.js? This is backend framework. So sorry, simply you keep it in your mind. Framework is nothing but on behalf of the developer, it is going to take some sort of responsibility. That is framework. And here we are going to use Express.js, that is backend framework. And what is Node.js? Node.js provides runtime environment, right? And next thing is, when it comes to view part, either you can use React.js, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, that is up to you. I hope it is clear. And one most important thing is, I told you, right, the traditional way we might have used HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So people comfortable with JavaScript compared to servlets concept. So that the people thought, why not we use JavaScript at server side, right? We can use, but the question here is, client side, your browser is inbuilt with V8 engine, so that the JavaScript code, it's interpreted and it is get executed in your browser. But server side, if you are going to use JavaScript, who will take the responsibility? Yes or no, guys? Who will take the responsibility when you are going to use JavaScript at server side? The answer is very simple: Node.js. So what is Node.js? Node.js provides runtime environment, right? So this is the official site for Node.js, right? See the definition here. Node.js is free, open source, cross-platform, JavaScript runtime environment. When interact with the students will give the different type of answers. What is Node.js means? It's a programming language, it's a compiler, interpreter. They given the different type of answers. But what actually the Node.js is, it provides the runtime environment for JavaScript. Which side? Client side or server side? It's very clear, server side. So that's the reason we are going to use JavaScript at server side. I hope it is clear, right? The second thing, you may have a question. Sir, you made a statement the browser is inbuilt with V8 engine. Chrome browser is inbuilt with V8 engine. How can we ensure really it is inbuilt with V8 engine or not? Simple. You just type it here, browser URL Chrome / version, right? And the fourth one, just a minute. Yeah, what you are seeing here, JavaScript. What is that engine name? V8. What is that version? 13.6.233.10. Right? So I hope the concept is clear. Right. So there are three perspectives. One is industry point of view, developer point of view, and end user point of view. Right? Why do we need full stack? And the end user point of view, I told you, right, which is used to develop single page applications. What does it mean, single page applications? It's developing only one page? No. I'll give you the clarity here. Let's say I'm going to open the VJ80 site, right? VJ80 site is developed using some traditional way, and wherever you are going to click, just observe here, the browser is loading. Wherever I am going to click, the browser gets loaded, means the request is given to server side. From server side I am going to get the response. Let's say the response in the form of HTML. Usually what will happen, the browser will convert this HTML code into DOM tree, and finally the content will be displayed to the end user. And the most important thing is, even if there is a small change in that, the node, the leaf node also, the browser is not going to update only leaf node, it's going to update the entire content. Right? Now the difficulty here is, every link whenever you are going to click, every time the browser will be refreshed, it gets loaded. Right? The same time, now I am going to use Facebook. Right? Facebook is single page applications. What does it mean, single page applications? The entire content is loaded at only once. Right? The entire content loaded at only once. Now you see here, this is my home page, right? And this one is videos. The moment when I am going to click, you all please observe here, sorry, it's not going to refresh, simply the API will be changed. See here, I'm going to click. I hope you understood, right? It's going to just change the API. The same way, I'm going to marketplace, simply the marketplace will be, API will be changed. This is not going to be refreshed. So this is what we used to call single page applications. What does it mean, single page applications? Means the entire content loaded at only once. If there is any change, only that particular component will be loaded. Only the particular component will be updated. Rest of the components, it's not going to do anything. That's the reason we are preferring full stack development. I hope the concept is clear. Thank you.